Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the zodiac sign Cancer and fears. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing is, well, in general, as far as what can put the zodiac sign Cancer in a very strong state of trepidation, I think, is obviously losing one's home suddenly being obliterated, or just their home life in general being destroyed, things connected with their family that could be negative, being rejected by family members. I think just being repudiated in general, but especially by people they feel close to home with, so to speak, and family members. And the thing about it is, and also not being connected to somebody on an emotional level. Now, I want to get to, now in a natal chart, or a solar natal chart for Cancer, Gemini often falls on the 12th house cusp, and the 12th house is about fears. So I think what Cancer can fear strongly based on this is that maybe just things being rational, or at least be averse to being rational, being very, perhaps being more objective. Cancer often looks at the subjective side of things. And I think, too, what's interesting about Gemini often being on the 12th house cusp in a solar or natal chart for Cancer is that you look at Gemini. Gemini is a sign that generally doesn't hold any animosity toward others or grudges for a protracted period, but Cancer can. I think Cancer at least has a subconscious fear, I think, at times, of letting go, perhaps, of grudges and really lamenting over past hurts for a very long time. So it could be about that fear of letting go of those past hurts and moving forward. Gemini is a more progressive sign. And also, I mean, Gemini, of course, is associated with communication. Now, it's interesting, I mean, Cancer is ruled by the moon, which, of course, is connected with the public. So despite being rather introverted, Cancer can actually adapt to a public life at times. But you look at this, I think, with Gemini often being on that 12th house cusp in a solar natal chart for Cancer, the thing about it is maybe it could just be just communication in general, whether it would be public or otherwise. I mean, I think the thing about it is Cancer can have, I think, because of the inherent shyness connected with the sign, the timid part of Cancer, and the fact that Cancer is more about feelings than they are about articulating words. So I think it might be a little bit harder for the zodiac sign Cancer on average to articulate their thoughts and things in general, because they're more caught up in how they're feeling inside. And sometimes that could affect their communication prowess, perhaps to their ability, to their detriment. And I think, too, when you look at this as well, the 12th house and fears for Cancer, we're going back to Gemini often being on the 12th house cusp in a solar natal chart for the zodiac sign Cancer. Things that are Gemini related, like professions such as journalism and writers, and that fear could come perhaps from maybe things that might be slanderous that might be said about Cancer, the things that are ridiculing, derogatory, and derisive remarks. Cancer is especially sensitive to those kind of things. I mean, I understand that I am, being a sun in Cancer. Of course, I have my moon in Gemini, Taurus rising, which modifies that a little bit, but still. Anyway, and I think also because this emotional detachment can be something that Cancer can really fear and be strongly averse to. In con men and people that are, I mean, Cancer can be a very easy mark for people that are trying to take from them, such as thieves. And is Cancer, I mean, like Pisces, I think could be a little bit gullible, not to the same extent necessarily as Pisces, but maybe not far behind. There can be a certain innocence about Cancer. So anyway, well, looking at fears again, continuing to talk about this, well, Capricorn is the opposite sign of Cancer. When you look at an opposite sign to one zodiac sign, this could represent qualities and characteristics that you may be somewhat averse to and you may fear, in that you may have difficulty in expressing them or acting on things associated with that sign. So Cancer because Cancer is often such a homebody, so introverted and introspective, they might fear things connected with their career, maybe even responsibilities as well. And it could be responsibility toward even being an adult. I had a prominent woman in my life a number of years ago. She has Cancer Ascendant at 29 degrees, and of course Capricorn is the opposite sign of that. It was 29 degrees, and she just, she seemed like she was very dependent on her mother a lot. She would be like, well, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to call her, I'm going to do this, and even as an adult. So I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, Capricorn, the opposite sign, being more adult, being more mature, about maturation. And I think Cancer sometimes has a difficult time in the growing up thing, so to speak, being disciplined over their emotions. It's interesting because I've talked about it in the past, people, in previous videos, that a lot of times, like, you see actors and actresses, a lot of times I think are at least subconsciously attracted to roles that fit their astrological personalities. And you look at fairly, I would say, renowned actor John Travolta has a Cancer Ascendant. He was in a movie one time. I think it may have been Christy Alley that said this to him, and in the movie she said to him something like, quote, "You're a big kid," or "You're like a big kid," unquote. And the thing about it is, him having a Cancer Ascendant, Cancer, as I stated, it's more whimsical than Capricorn. A lot of times they have a little kid quality in them, the zodiac sign Cancer, that they're just, that they have a harder time expressing the more mature qualities, I think. So, and also, Cancer may fear people that are rather cold and callous, like Capricorn can come across, as people that are undemonstrative, that are unfeeling, because Cancer is so sensitive, and they really like others to be that way as well. Now, let me get to the fact that Capricorn is the opposite sign of Cancer, and it's also the sign that would fall on the 7th house cusp in a solar natal chart for Cancer. So the thing about it is, where Capricorn is located in our chart and by house, this could show an area perhaps of avoidance, what we avert or evade. It could be what we may fear as well. Now, with Capricorn on the 7th house, well, for Cancer in a solar natal chart, this could be about avoidance perhaps of others in general, given the fact that Cancer can often be very, very introverted, very much a homebody, rather shy and submissive, and could be relationships in general, and also open adversaries, unlike Leo or Aries, who are of course much more confrontational and will show more fortitude as far as confrontations go with open enemies. Cancer can be just the opposite, and they tend to shy away from things that they can't necessarily confront, and they go into that figurative shell, so to speak. So another thing would be, with fear of Cancer, then another 7th house thing could be legal matters in courtroom scenarios, because courtrooms are more about the public, and Cancer is more introverted. But don't get me wrong, Cancer can still handle the public a little bit more than a lot of things, because, as I stated before, Cancer is ruled by the public, but they like things to be done on a more private level on average. And really, and that's and that pretty much, people, that is basically it for the zodiac sign Cancer and fears. Stay tuned next time, where I'll be talking about the zodiac sign Leo and fears. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.